We're going to be talking about the top tips and practices for IELTS speaking.
The speaking test is divided into 3 sections or parts.
We have expand your vocabulary. You have to familiarize yourself with the topic first.
You can obviously take test on PI and get a feedback from certified examiners.
When it comes to being a very good speaker of English, and that's even the same for a native speaker. Namaste, you beautiful people. I am joined again by Oshin and Rishi. Welcome back to the IELTS podcast with Pi. And today we're going to be talking about the top tips and practices for IELTS speaking. We're going to jump right into it with Oshin. Can you hit us with number 1, please?
So number 1 is understand the format.
Very important. It's always important to know what you're getting yourself in for. So how can we understand the format?
Okay, so the speaking test is divided into 3 sections or parts. It is basically an 11 to 14 minutes of test, wherein part 1 is the introduction or interview round that would last for 4 to 6 minutes on an average, followed by cue card round, which we also call as the long turn. That is 3 minutes of round where the student would get 1 minute to prepare on the topic, and then the student would have to speak on the topic for 2 minutes in continuity. And then the final round that we have is the follow-ups questioning, which is basically the discussion round, where the student will have to share his personal opinions, experiences, and the questions are mostly based on whatever topic the student has got for the second round, which is the cue card round.
Absolutely. It's so important to know, what is expected of you in each of the parts. The first part is a small talk. You don't ramble, just give a nice, concise answer. Part 2, just try and speak for as long as you can. If you're struggling to speak for the last 2 minutes, then do stop. But try to make sure you speak for maybe at least 90 seconds, maybe 100 seconds. If you do get interrupted by the examiner, that's normally a bad thing when you get interrupted, but it's a good thing in the IELTS exam because it shows that you can confidently speak for 2 minutes, doesn't it? And then for part 3, just try to be as thoughtful in your responses and reflective as possible. Show off all your education.
So basically, fluency and coherence is one thing that you're judged on. Then grammatical range and accuracy. Then we have pronunciation and lexical resources, which is vocabulary. So all 4 of these have got equal weightage. So let's say 25% of weightage is carried by all 4 of these. So the test takers are judged, their performance is judged on the basis of these 4 descriptors.
Absolutely. I think sometimes you find if they're struggling to get their fluency and coherency marks up, they might ramble a little bit more, and when you're panicking, that's when the grammar mistakes or pronunciation mistakes might just start to slip in. So if you really are struggling to keep talking, it's probably best to stop before you end up making a bad show of yourself. Okay, let's move on to number 2.
We have expand your vocabulary.
Expanding, so make sure you have as many tools as possible to communicate. How can we expand our vocabulary, Rishi?
Well, you have to familiarize yourself with the topic first by applying a technique called mind mapping, what I'm going to speak and how I'm going to put that message across. Like example, when we say too many options, it's a very common mistake that we say. You're not supposed to be using these basic words like it's considered as average user. So if I say plethora of plethora reason or several reasons or obtain amount of reasons, then you're considered as like good hold of vocabulary.
That's right, they're sort of low frequency words, some of them, aren't they? I'm very impressed when our students will start talking, and even when sometimes their grammar or pronunciation is not perfect, I can tell when they correctly use an advanced word. I'm always writing that down. Oh, very good. That's going to boost your lexical resource. Fantastic stuff there. Thank you. Moving on to number 3, Oshin.
That is practice regularly.
So important. Like we said in the last podcast, cramming is completely useless. So, less is more. Do little bits of learning a lot more often. How else can people practice regularly?
You can either practice it with your friends, but make sure your friends are good at the language part. But you can also go through mock tests. There are different websites. PI is one of them. You can obviously take test on PI and get a feedback from certified examiners and trainers. So that is what one can do. Apart from that, having the opportunity of talking with the native speaker is also going to help the student a lot. That's
it. A lot of these are tied into privilege quite a lot, isn't it? When it comes to being a very good speaker of English, and that's even the same for a native speaker. If you're surrounded by people who have very big vocabularies, you can learn from those vocabularies a lot more. And I often find people who are extremely intelligent and have a very big vocabulary, when it comes to verbally producing that vocabulary, they're nowhere near as strong as when it comes to writing. And again, a lot of it comes down to the privilege of who they might have surrounded them with. Have they had a diversity of different types of English speakers? And yeah, so try to exploit that privilege. If you find someone who's a very good speaker, you know, just try to talk to them as for about, you know, at least 20 minutes a week. You know, don't take up too much of their time, but yeah, definitely try to use those people as much as you can.